Hello, this is One Dragon, and welcome to my build guide on what I believe to be the best weapon and build for bossing in Cyberpunk 2077. Essentially, I wanted to delete everything before I took damage as fast as I could on the hardest difficulty, but also at an appropriate level or under-leveled for the mission. With this build, I was able to complete the main game and the story bosses at around level 20 on very hard. This was also a precursor build to the one I used to complete the secret ending at levels 20 to 23, which I will make a separate build video for. I'll now showcase one kill from each of the bosses, so you can decide whether or not you'd like to use this weapon and or build. I felt that the level I was when defeating the bosses was also reasonable, so make sure to look at that as well.
You paid what you paid? Eyes open now. We prepared appropriately.
What's going on?
You have company soon.
Come at me! Bring it!
Now the watcher.
I think she's had enough.
Pull up, Hulling.
Been on a while. Time for a break.
Fuck!
I managed... Smasher!
Hold! So very human.
As you may have noticed, I was able to kill the bosses in one clip or less, and the weapon I use is the Problem Solver. As the name suggests, it certainly solves any problems you might have in defeating these bosses, and very efficiently too. This build essentially uses an extremely high DPS fire rate gun, alongside the short circuit passive, which adds additional damage on critting. I didn't include Royce because you can't get this gun before his fight. If you'd like a similar weapon, I recommend getting Fenrir. So why the focus on these story bosses? Most of the main story bosses have some form of protection that limits the amount of damage they can take, which is different from open world enemies. I'll use some footage from my level 50 playthrough to explain, but basically on bosses or enemies without boss protection, they can take hundreds of thousands of damage if not millions, whilst bosses like Oda seem to have some form of protection, only taking 5 to 6k damage from the same weapon and the same build, despite being over-leveled as well.
Of course you're here!
From the starting attributes, currently I've been starting with an extra 3 attributes in tech, 3 in intelligence, and 1 in reflexes. There I aim to hit 18 tech so that I can craft legendaries. After I put points in intelligence, aiming for 9 to 10 for free legendary quick hacks. Because this build is based around doing things quite early, you need to make sure that you can actually get those free legendary quick hacks. So oftentimes I finish the prologue, save, and then level up the intelligence, go to the access points that you can get free legendary quick hacks from, hack them just to make sure that I can keep going with that playthrough. There's currently a common bug that sometimes you can't get free legendary quick hacks from those access points, so it's a good idea to test this early on. For perks, I've only spec'd up the ones that I needed, and I've saved other ones for later. For crafting, I have Field Technician for 5% more damage upon crafting the weapon, Grease Monkey to craft epic items, and Edge Runner for legendary items. In Assault within Reflexes, I have Bullet Jock for that extra damage. I have one perk in Cold Blood for the 10% crit chance from the skill progression rewards. In Hacking, I have Bloodware, Signal Support, and Bio Synergy sometimes. These are for quick hack damage and duration. The remainder of the skills are Utility, Advanced Data Mine for income, Crouching Tiger for better move speed, while Stealth, and Pack Mule for inventory space. By the time I got to Smasher and finished one ending, I had 3 attribute points and 23 perks unused. Despite this, I was able to defeat Smasher in one clip on very hard. Essentially, you finish this build at level 16 or 17. However, any other levels past that can definitely add to the damage and make things faster. You can either go straight into Reflexes for more damage on rifles and submachine guns, or you can build up your intelligence and improve your cyberware. Another method could be upgrading your crafting as well. You can also opt for the cool tree, since there's a lot of damage there, but a lot of the damage comes once you hit 20 cool. For Cyberware, I had a rare limbic system enhancement for 15% crit chance, an uncommon visual cortex support for 16% crit damage. I paid back Victor and bought the epic Kiroshi optics and slotted in the mods Trajectory Analysis for the bonus 50% headshot damage, Threat Detector for seeing enemies, and Weak Spot Detection for increased crit chance by 5%. For the OS, by the time I finished, I only had enough street cred for the Raven Micro Cyber MK4, which you can get from Robert. And although I have these other hacks, the most important one for the build is Short Circuit. Short Circuit, as mentioned earlier, has an insane passive, adding additional electric damage whenever you crit, and that applies to whatever weapon or even fists.
I managed.
As always, clothing and armor mods, make sure to keep a lookout for one Fortuna mod and one Bully mod for any build. For the Fortuna mod, the earliest I got it was the Arasaka Guard in the heist. For the Bully mod, the earliest I got this was actually saving Evelyn. One of the chests dropped a Bully mod on the boots. If not, there's a guaranteed Bully mod on the way to the Netwatch agent as well. Right, so on to the weapon itself. So the pros and cons of the Problem Solver. Cons are, first of all, its high recoil. The recoil on this gun is really high if you spray, and it's not great at long distances. The second con is deleting bosses before they finish their dialogue options, so you miss out on a bit of story and lore if you kill them too fast. But the good things, or the pros, big DPS. Obviously not the highest single shot damage guns, but its DPS is insane. Second advantage is its very high clip size. As 85 bullets, as shown in the earlier kills, where other guns would have to reload. Having 85 shots allows for killing enemies without reloading. And the third advantage is it's also excellent for killing enemies that have the skull, the red skull above their head, or are of a higher level than you. So it's a really good weapon if you decide to do your own challenges like that.
Got a gameplay all polished.
Right, how to get the weapon can be found during the mission Riders on the Storm from the Wraith boss hunter. I actually encountered a strange bug when trying to get the weapon before the mission. I went to this area before and explored and killed the Raffen in the area. And then when returning with Pan Am during the mission, my V stated, "I've been here before." After wiping out all the enemies, I noticed that the boss hunter dropped 2 problem solvers instead of the usual 1. Personally, I haven't needed to use the other one, but it'll be useful in case you want to craft one at a low level and then recraft the weapon at level 50 to avoid paying the upgrading costs. The problem solver has insanely high base DPS, and according to the weapon stats, attacks 15.83 times per second. The flavor text reads, "Don't bother aiming, something's guaranteed to hit," and the iconic bonus reads, "Removes all safety and reason by firing almost 1,000 rounds per minute." Personally, I opt for the stats being shown here, having crit chance, crit damage, bleed chance, and headshot multiplier of 1.85. There are several variants of this gun, so you can experiment with whichever stats you would prefer. Because I am so low level, I can only craft rare mods, so I opt for 4 crunch mods in each slot, increasing the damage of each shot by 7 per mod. You can put a scope on it if you like, but that's optional, since you're pretty much shooting from melee range anyway. Because of its high recoil and just general starting position when you fight these bosses, I just end up running up to the boss and aiming at weak spots, and occasionally aiming for the head as well. Hopefully you guys find this build useful and can delete bosses really fast on the hardest difficulty. If you have any questions, feel free to ask, and feel free to check out some of my other videos as well. Thanks for watching.